Okay, so honey to cover. What time is it, dear? 2:30. Oh, it's so late. We should be getting home. So here we find out some things about Honey's characterisation. So she is obviously aware, demonstrates an awareness of the tension between George and his wife. And if she's aware of it, then so are we as members of the audience. So we're really starting to connect here with Honey. So in terms of characterisation, clearly Honey is aware of the tension, and as members of the audience, we're empathising with Honey because we too are aware of the tension. And the tension is such that she actually wants to go home. Okay, and that tells you the extent of how uncomfortable she's feeling. And George's response, he responds nastily, but he's so preoccupied he hardly notices his own tone. For what? You keeping the babysitter up or something? And then Nick, almost a warning. So now we've got this potential threat of tension between these two, Nick and George. Now, what is the source of the tension between Nick and George? Why are we starting to notice perhaps this sense of potential conflict between these two characters?
George is keeping Honey.
Yeah. I told you we didn't have children, so this whole topic of children obviously seems to be quite a sensitive. We're not sure why yet. So George, and then he realises something. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't even listening or thinking. With a flick of his hand, whichever one applies. Quite dismissive there in explaining and justifying his mistake. So Nick turns softly to Honey, we'll go in a little while. So what you've also got here is character relationship, which is functioning to create a contrast. So here we've got lovey-dovey, happy-clappy, romantic Nick and Honey who talk softly to each other and are all nicely, friendly, and they are contrasted with George and Martha, who clearly have some sense of conflict. So the function of the relationship between Nick and Honey is a contrasting one. So again, that's something else that you could put into these notes that you're creating. Contrasting relationships also contribute to the tension. Now, as you can see at the moment, we've got 5 main points, I suppose, are identified. Regulation between George and Honey, George's characterisation, George and Martha's character relationship, and this conflict, Nick and George, and the threat of conflict because of George's treatment of Honey, and then the contrasting relationships. Each one of those I intend to create a bullet point for. So remembering this idea that you can construct your answers using bullet points, and those are a line of argument, a circle of argument each. So each one of those would create one full explained bullet point with at least one piece of evidence being used. When you look at this idea of contrast, you cannot evidence contrast with one quotation. You need to have 2, okay? Because you are identifying the way in which 2 things are very different. So you will need 2 quotations there. So already I know that time allowing for each of those bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 quotations is what I've got. Now we're going to keep adding to that list as we work through the text. And in the writing process, if, for example, you got to bullet point number 3 and you only had 10 minutes left of the exam, what we need to do is to go to the last one here and cover that, because one of the things that you have to make sure that you do is to cover the whole text. And because we're taking a jolly through the text, we're working through it at a pace which is appropriate to the analysis we're doing, it is possible, and it's perhaps realistic, that we may struggle for time. So how can we ensure that we satisfy that particular part of the assessment criteria? By simply jumping straight to the end of the extract and making sure that our last bullet point covers that particular part of the text.